September 9, 2024. The incident occurred in 2024, but the public became aware after a published ProPublica expose in March 2026. A black woman, a professional, a mother, an informed patient. She was told, by a room full of mostly white officials, convened without warning, without her consent, and without providing her legal representation, that the state knew better than she did what should happen to her body. And then it happened. Her name is Cherise Doyley, and she knew more about what was happening in that hospital room than almost anyone else. Cherise was a professional birthing doula. She had spent years in delivery rooms, not as a bystander, but as an advocate, a guide, someone whose purpose was to make sure the woman giving birth stayed informed, stayed empowered, stayed heard. A doula doesn't deliver babies, doesn't prescribe medication, doesn't make medical decisions. What a doula does is stand beside the patient and say, "You have a voice. You have rights. I am here." Cherise Doyley had been that voice for others for years. On September 9th, she needed someone to be that voice for her. No one came. This wasn't Cherise's first battle with this decision. She had been through 3 prior C-sections. 3. And one of them had nearly killed her. A hemorrhage. The kind of complication that changes a person. The kind that makes you lie awake at night months later, still feeling the weight of what your body went through. The recovery, the pain, the long weeks of not being able to lift your own child. So when Cherise arrived at University of Florida Health, she had done her homework. She knew the risk was less than 2%. She had a plan. She would consent to surgery only if there was a true emergency. That is not defiance. That is medicine. That is a patient exercising the autonomy that every doctor would expect for themselves. She didn't call a lawyer. She didn't request a hearing. She didn't ask for this. The hospital called the state.
Florida. The state of Florida has filed a petition for declaratory judgment. They're asking for...
The state filed an emergency petition, not for Cherise, for her unborn child. "It's a real judge in there?" she asked. It was. For 3 hours, Cherise Doyley, in active labor without a lawyer, argued for her right to make decisions about her own body. Alone. Against a screen full of officials who had already decided. At one point, she looked at the faces on that screen and said what she saw plainly.
I have not had a chance to be able to consult with my own legal representation, and I'm trying to understand how you are taking my rights away as a patient to be able to decide my...
I have 20 white people against me, and they are trying to take my rights away from me by force.
They don't have anybody African-American that they can give me?
Let me ask you, I don't know that... Then
She asked for a black nurse, a black doctor, someone who might understand.
I don't find that race really has much to do with it.
The judge said, "I don't find that race really has much to do with this, ma'am." The judge ruled against her. The judge said race had nothing to do with it. Let's sit with that. Black women in the U.S. die from complications at 2 to 3 times the rate of white women. Both Cherise Doyley and Brianna Bennett are black women. Both had 3 prior C-sections. Both ended up alone in virtual courtrooms.
This ma'am.
It does have much to do with it because historically, black people do better when they have healthcare providers that look like them. It's nobody black in here. I'm so tired of this. I'm over this whole situation.
When Cherise named what she saw, she was not being dramatic. She was being a witness. The judge's dismissal wasn't neutrality. It was a verdict. How did we get here? How does a state have the power to force a conscious, competent adult to undergo major surgery against her will? Florida doesn't have a single law that says it can. What it has is decades of fetal personhood doctrine. This same state has aggressively expanded medical freedom for those who decline vaccines, but not for a laboring woman. As one expert put it, there aren't any other instances where you would invade the body of one person to save the life of another, not even prisoners. Cherise Doyley survived. Her baby was born, and then she had to figure out how to live with what happened. She has said she will never attend another birth as a doula. The trauma is too deep. Driven away from the work she built her life around, she now focuses on postpartum depression resources, turning pain into purpose the way so many women have had to. The questions her case raises don't have easy answers. When does the state's interest outweigh a patient's right to her own body? The delivery room and the courtroom are not supposed to be the same room. In Florida, for Cherise Doyley, they were. Learn more about physicians and other medical professionals at unbedsidemanners.com. Please like and share to support our content.